Hello, hello, hello. Check, check, check.
Check, check. Hello.
It's working. Cool. So here we are. Just everything's. It's a calm Saturday afternoon. I don't record on Saturdays very often, but we made a special exception. It's a reschedule. That's okay.
It's triple reschedule.
Yeah.
Maybe double. I don't remember.
I think it was only one. I think it was just a double. Oh.
I think it was twice.
Was it?
Yeah.
It may have been.
Third time's the charm.
I'll tell you this. So for one, this is actually a bit of a milestone episode because this is episode 250.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for being my 250th guest. The main reason I'm bringing that up is because I've been doing this for about 5 years and rescheduling is very common. So please don't feel bad. It happens all the time. Very used to it. A lot of people have a lot of things going on.
So much.
And I suppose that is a downside to trying to do interviews with people that are busy because sometimes they just have shit that comes up.
Yep.
So what are you going to do?
Or that they forget.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot too. I've definitely had like several people that have like straight up just blown me off.
No.
And just forgot and then ghosted me. And it's like, oh no, you fucking asked me to be on the show and then you blew me off.
That's mean.
That's okay. If they didn't really want to be here, I don't fucking want them here anyways. You feel me?
I feel you.
Yeah, fuck them. So with that being said, feel free to swear. How
Okay.
do you feel about bad words?
I like bad words.
What's your favorite bad word?
So I work at this jewelry shop downtown a couple days a week. Been there for like 6 years. And it's very old school.
OG.
Yeah. Third generation Pittsburgh jewelry shop, sort of.
Awesome.
School.
Cool.
Lots of cursing goes on. My boss is trying to set stones and he's like, motherfucker, God. So
Yeah.
I started making up my own curse words at work.
Okay.
One that I really like is absent father.
Okay. I dig it.
Kind of like bookend his motherfucker,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't know. I like to mix it up.
It's good. It's important. Mix things up. So, intro. Oh, I fucked up. The fader's not on. I haven't done that before. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of those people who listened to the conversation, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Cheers, my friend. Cheers. How's everybody out there on the internet place doing today? I hope it is well. It is, I don't know, what day is this being uploaded? September 19th. So for the people on the internet, I hope you're having a lovely September 19th. It is a lovely Saturday afternoon right now, and I'm sitting here today with my new, I guess, soon-to-be friend. Right now we're in acquaintance stage. We just met 10 minutes ago downstairs. Yep. But this is Sarah Jane Sindler.
Yeah, you got it right.
I just wanted to make sure I pronounced it right.
You did.
Of King Reld.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know what King Reld is, it's a lot of things. But what I would think it is, the easiest way to put it in is it's just like what? Like
so many things.
Bizarre fashion, art, couture, neat shit. It's very abstract. It's very dark. It's visually challenging. And it is very exciting because for me, I'm somebody who really likes physical things.
Thank you.
I like physical things that challenge my brain, make me go, what the fuck am I looking at? And today, in a digital world, you don't get a whole lot of like physical things, like especially when it comes to art. So many people are into like digitally manipulating all of these things. And I feel like with what you're doing, it's just so physical and organic. And there's a lot to talk about. But before we get into all of that, I just want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be
And
here.
I should probably also shut the fuck up and let you talk about your art and tell me what you consider King Reld to be. How do you like to describe it to the world?
It's hard because it's sort of in 3 different worlds. Essentially,
Yeah.
It's in the fashion world, it's in the craft, art jewelry world, and it's in the fine art world. So
I wanted to actually ask, not to cut you off, but I was really curious about like what came first, like what inspired what. Was it like, oh, I want to design fashion, and then that ended up turning into like, now I'm making art? Or was it, I want to do art, and then you accidentally started doing fashion as a result?
I think it started in fashion. I've always been really interested in fashion.
Cool.
Yeah. But I didn't start metalsmithing until about 6 years ago. And I didn't really start metalsmithing until about 3 years ago or so.
Yeah.
So it's been a progression for sure. I don't know. As a kid, like I went to tons of art museums with my family and was always, questioning art and like meaning and motifs and things like that.
Was there anybody in your family that was doing art, or is it just like appreciators of art?
A lot of appreciators, a lot of artists. My granddad, on my dad's side especially, my grandmother on my mom's side, my granddad's brother.
That's awesome. So you like grew up in a reasonably creative and cultured environment.
Yeah. My mom's an artist. She kind of like put it on hold during my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's been doing a lot lately.
What kind of stuff does she do?
She's a collageist and
is that the right word for that?
I don't know. Collagist?
Yeah. Fair enough.
Weaver. She used to do ceramics.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She's crafty.
So with King Reld, since I cut you off because I'm a fucking terrible interviewer, 250 episodes in, don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, what I kind of cut you off in the middle of your description of what King Reld is specifically.
Yeah. So I think to me, it's a little bit different than what it is to people who are viewing my work. To me, it's sort of like a conversation based in fashion, like a performance that's based in fashion. Lately, I've been, the bread and butter is the grills that I've been making, which is awesome. I love making them. It's like a very intimate process. And I think a lot of people who buy them from me are performers, and sort of like informs what they're doing and like the mood that they're trying to set, or, some sort of empowerment to like their craft or something like that.
And you brought some grills, right?
I did.
Since you brought them up, let's show the people some of the stuff you're doing. I also have like your website and stuff pulled up. I want to go through some of that stuff, but I also don't want it to all be 1000% show and tell. Okay, this is
like a really good one. I'm gonna save this.
Okay. I'm like, you can't see it on the screen, but I could see it here, and I'm like, whoa.
So a lot of these ones are from this collection that I released last fall, I think, for Pittsburgh Fashion Week.
Okay.
It's the jewelry collection. This is a grill that Marie wore in the fashion show, and they're all like custom, of course, to the wearer. So like I can't wear this one, sadly. But the jewelry collection was about sort of like beautifying our ugliness.
Yeah.
In this way of like bodily functions and like how we sort of, disrespect our bodily functions to a point that's like dehumanizing us. So I made a lot of grills with like drool coming out of them, and then some like nose jewelry with like, you could wear like fancy snot.
Yeah.
Or like a fancy nosebleed, or
a lot of this stuff like that I've picked up just from looking at your work. I already mentioned how I like how physical it is in a time where everything's so digital, and speaking on like, our imperfections. Everything digitally is so perfect. Everybody's all worried about like, oh, let me, correct the size of my cheekbones in
Right.
some weird app before I post this photo and change my skin tone and all this stuff. And it's like, it's so fucking fake and weird. And like, why can't we just be ourselves and be happy with that?
I think it's because of the, everyone's doing it. So why aren't you doing it?
Totally. Yeah.
And it's like that social pressure is ever present.
Yeah. To be inhuman. It makes no sense. It even bleeds over, like into art, into music, all of these unrealistic things. You hear a lot of bands that have these perfect sounded recordings, then you go see them live and it's like, oh, this isn't the same fucking thing at all. And it's the same thing with people, like a supermodel on Instagram, and then in person it's just like, oh yeah, you're just as normal as me, motherfucker.
Right.
Absent father.
It's a good one, right?
Mm-hmm. I like it. I might start putting it into the show. So yeah, I hadn't even thought about the concept of this stuff hanging from the grills that I saw is drool. I hadn't even thought about that. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
To me, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's just fucking weird. But I like the idea of it being drool or snot or blood or things like that.
Right.
Where did that idea come from?
I don't know.
Was it just like a happy accident
like
sort of thing?
Self-image thing. Like a lot of my work is very based in like self-image and sort of like giving confidence to having a positive self-image.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I also think that like, drool's kind of funny. I like to like
absolutely
make this very serious looking jewelry, but it's also like kind of funny.
Yeah, there's another like I don't want to say like, it's like a very like adolescent sort of quality to something that is like a fine art or like fashion piece. That's kind of like, because there's some elements of that world that are very like kind of cornball, and it's like a nice sort of just like poking it with a stick, like, hey, just being like a little shit and still doing something that's like really cool, but like.
Do you know that comic Snot Girl?
Mm-mm.
It's great. I think it's sort of like subconsciously. I saw a flyer of this comic, like giant poster of this like very attractive girl with like green hair and like, she's wearing a tank top and like she just had like snot coming out of her nose. And I was like, that's so awesome.
Hell yeah.
So maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. Like the beginnings.
Yeah. With getting into all of this stuff to begin, where did because like with crafting stuff like metalsmithing, I guess, because that's a big part of what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And having to, make custom pieces for people and all of those things. Like there's a lot of work and then I imagine that goes into all that. So how did you get started in thinking about like, oh, I want to do grills for people and learning how to make the stuff? Because like I've never talked with anybody that does anything like this, so like I'm so fascinated by it.
I mean, I love grills. I just think that they're so powerful, and like also kind of ugly in this way. Like your grandma's always going to be like, God damn it, why did you get a grill? Because of her, social beauty standards. And I think that's really interesting. I don't know. I just like wanted to make a grill, so I made one, and like I didn't know how to do it, and I just figured it out.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And the grill market is like very protective of its process, and like no one will tell you how to make a grill.
That's a sentence I never expected to hear. The grill market is very protective of its process. Interesting.
Yeah, like I was very fortunate to meet a grill maker on Instagram who told me like a key factor in my process that if I wouldn't have known, like this would have been way harder.
Shout outs to them.
Yeah, Juanita Grills. Check them out on Instagram. They're really cool.
With the other stuff that you do outside of the grills or other pieces that you've done, maybe even with things that aren't like fashion related? Like, what was your come up like with just starting to create like physical things?
So I've always like made stuff. I didn't really, I wasn't super serious about it until I got to college, and I have an art degree. And like I went to Chatham, and their art program is like fine. But then like the way that I got into metalsmithing was like perfect for me. My friend, like I've always loved jewelry. Like, I don't know. My grandma, she always loved jewelry. She always like let me play around in her jewelry box and like put on all of her jewelry in the mirror. And like it was this whole thing that I would do every time I visited her. So fast forward like 20 years. My friend Trisha of You Equal Love, who you should also check out, youequallove.org. She used to be a metalsmith in Chicago, and she made this ring that she gave me, and it was like this giant hunk of sterling silver, and like it was just so mind-blowing. And she was like, oh, like why don't you just make one? And I was like, what do you mean? Like she's like, oh, here's some wax, here's a file, like make a ring, it's not a big deal. And so I like sat down on her couch and like carved this ring out of wax. And she's like, sweet, let's go get it cast. And I was like, what? So we went to the shop across the hall from where I've been working for the last 6 years. And we got it cast, and it like looked horrible. The casting was horrible. And I was like, fuck. So then we molded it. We had them mold it. I didn't mold it. And then we went to where I work now to get it cast. And I was like, oh my God, like I can make jewelry like in a semi-professional way that's going to look really good. I didn't sell any of those rings.
Sure.
I sold maybe one. But I created this professional relationship with Ira of David I. Helfer Jewelers downtown in the Clark building. And like weaseled my way into a job there without really knowing anything about metalsmithing at all, and that's how it started. And Ira, every time I make something, he's like rolls his eyes a little bit because it's like so not traditional jewelry,
Yeah, totally. That's so fun. So in your like day job life form, are you working on stuff that is like more traditional? Like, do you actually do any?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm very technically trained because of working at David I. Helfer Jewelers.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And I don't think that, if I went to school for metalsmithing, it would have been that way. Also, I would have had way less practice, especially using fine metals like gold. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really cool piece of the puzzle that, I mean, obviously we just met, but I wasn't aware of, but that totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. Just being able to have access to that, to always keep up the practice and do the basic things and work with different kinds of metal, I imagine, gives you an upper hand in what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm. Also, like doing repairs. Like I do repairs pretty much only now there. And it's cool to see how things are put together, and like, one part of it will be broken, and so you solder it together, and like the other part of it like falls off, and you're like, God damn it. And then it's just all about problem solving, and like you have no idea how something is made until you like put some fire on it,
Absolutely. What's some of like the most challenging stuff that what would be the most challenging part of metalsmithing?
Marketing.
Okay, so that actually gets,
I don't know. I mean, I think like being open to like learning and like really learning how to make something well, like refining your craft. Like I historically have been a very like eager maker, you know? And like, that's not always great because you're like, oh, I want to make this so bad. And then you like skip all these steps, you know?
Sure.
And like
sure.
metalsmithing is so much about like order of operations. If you like skip a step and you get to like step 6, then you still haven't done step 2. And then your piece is like probably going to fall apart, you know?
It's hard to be able to exercise the patience when you want your output to meet a certain quota, but you're doing everything yourself. And, you know, you don't want to sacrifice quality for quantity. But if you're like a maniac, like I'm a maniac. So I'm always trying to do like 10,000 things at once. And then, you know, everything falls apart. And I'm like, why did I do this?
Yeah, but then you're like, oh, now I know.
That's true.
You know, like when I teach, I like try to relinquish total control and like let my students fuck up so that they can like really understand like why, you know?
Yeah. What are you teaching?
I'm not teaching right now. Building a studio in Wilkinsburg at Proto Haven with some people so that we can teach and learn from each other.
What kind of stuff? Like in metalsmithing and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
I was
just like fabrication, casting probably.
With like
anything.
Jewelry or like other stuff. So it's all jewelry?
Yeah.
Do you do any stuff that's not jewelry?
Yes, I do performance art and I do like very unskilled fashion wearables.
Okay.
Abstract. I just went to a blacksmithing workshop this weekend, which is really cool. But I gotta get that set up before I can blacksmith.
Yeah, totally. There's always so much stuff that I want to do, and I always have a really hard time just focusing on the one thing or telling myself that like basically learning how to say no to myself is really, really hard. I got really good at saying no to other people, but like I still can't say no to myself. So I'm always trying to do 10,000 fucking things.
Yeah.
But with the fashion stuff that you're doing, like outside of the metalsmithing, you say metalsmithing. Jesus Christ. You said you were doing like wearables and things like that. So do you have like some background in like sewing and things like that as well? Or like, is it like another
I just
thing?
like sew. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not necessarily as like trained and nuanced maybe as your metalsmithing is. It's more just kind of like a, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to make this, you know, dress for a fashion show, I guess. You know?
What is that world like? I feel like to me, an outsider in the world of fashion, I feel like it seems like a very like, you got to sell yourself and be very like, me, check me the fuck out. Yeah. I'm the shit. I'm better than you. Fuck your stuff. It doesn't seem like a very like collaborative, like with arms wide open sort of community to me.
I mean,
am I wrong?
I've only done, you know, Pittsburgh fashion stuff.
Yeah. So I imagine it's just kind of like
it's also
a
so expensive to like be in a fashion show. Like, you know, you have to spend $5,000 just to go to be in the fashion show.
Really?
Or more. I don't know.
Wow.
And like, maybe someone cares if you're in the fashion show. Maybe they don't. You know?
Yeah.
I find that in Pittsburgh, fashion shows, in my experience, aren't for the people making the fashions. It's for like an entertainment portion of some event, you know?
Oh.
And you're like, that's fine, but like, it's this weird disconnect where people are like, oh, I'm supposed to buy this stuff? And you're like, yeah, that's, you know, that's why I'm putting it out here.
And maybe if it's like a side part of another event.
Yeah.
You might have a large portion of people that are there that weren't intending to go to a fashion show.
Yeah,
and then you throw it
weird.
at the lap, and that's kind of strange. It's like,
or they like don't light it.
oh yeah,
And you're like, I understand like setting a mood for a fashion show is like a huge part of, you know, the whole concept of an event. But like, if you don't light the fashion, like you can't see any of the details.
Mhm.
And you know, I like make tiny stuff like this that are in fashion shows, and if there's no light, you're not going to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's something that really that like transcends into like just across all borders of entertainment. You know, like imagine going to see a movie and you sit down in the theater and they never dimmed the lights before they started showing, and be like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Or even like going to see a band, like even just like if the lighting in the space feels off, it's like you feel like, oh, like am I at a concert or am I at a band practice?
Right.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
All the time. It's really about creating that environment outside of the piece itself.
Right.
But I imagine a lot of times they're just like, well, it's a fashion show. So
I mean, my favorite way to like present fashion work is, and you know, jewelry work too, is like in a performative manner. And like fashion shows are cool, but they're very constructed. And you know, when you're going to a fashion show, you're like, oh, these models are going to walk down a runway and like show you these clothes. And it's like a great way to show fashion, but it's not very interesting. And like a lot of ways that people show jewelry is not very interesting. They're like, here's a neck on a wall with a necklace on it behind glass, you know, and it's like meant to be worn. So if it's behind glass, you can't like, you're not interacting with it in the way that you should be, you know?
Sure. It's like people that collect action figures but never take them out of the box.
Right. This is sad. I feel bad for those action figures, you know?
Yeah.
They're probably
Let
so
it breathe.
lonely.
Let it breathe. With what you're doing, I imagine, and I'm sure you have done this, like you have an opportunity to do like pretty cool like performance art / like art installations with your work.
Yeah. And with my friends, you know, like if it wasn't for like Guinevere, you know, she's my favorite performance buddy, you know, and the performances that we do together are like very conceptual, and she, you know, has this amazing imagination. And yeah, and it's very fashion based. You know, she creates this whole story, and then I don't know, it's cool. It's such a cool experience.
I was gonna pull up because you actually have some pretty cool video on your website that I was checking out. There it is. There.
Yeah, this is.
You have a very, very nice website.
Thank you.
Do you want to say that? And yeah, all these visuals are super, super great. What can you tell me about this?
So this is from a fashion show we had at the Carnegie Museum of Art. It was put on by Feline Entertainment and Girl FX. I think they're going by GFX now. And then Elaine Healy and I collaborated. She did the clothing and I did the jewelry. My friend Keaton Manning made this sick video. Who's like one of my favorite people to work with to like present the work.
Yeah, no, you know? I think everything's awesome. Everything's like super, super killer. So the one thing I just noticed, like I saw that one of the models was wearing like a head thing. Was that something that you made?
Yeah.
Whoa. Like with the hair?
Yep.
That's fucking crazy.
Rhinestone wig.
Was that a pain in the ass to make?
Oh my God, it took so long. I just made another one recently.
I can't even imagine. How long does it take to make something like that?
It took me like 40 hours, I bet.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's all.
It looks amazing though.
It feels great too.
Like to physically wear?
Yeah. It's sort of like.
I feel it's like like how much. Are you somebody that
definitely weighty?
Like weighty and like powerful?
Yeah. But also like relaxing in this way. Like it feels like when you stick your hand in a barrel of beans, but like on your face.
Hell yeah.
It's so nice.
Are you somebody that is into like different energies and like stones and things like that? I know some people were into like crystals and stuff like that. I don't know if that's anything that like you think about or incorporate in any of your work, like even if it's not necessarily like something you take seriously, but
I don't really.
Yeah. So when it comes to like,
I'm like more interested in like the physical beauty of an object.
cool. Yeah.
And like what it means to me.
I understand. I was just asking because I've noticed there are like some like different sorts of stones in some of the work, and I wasn't sure if there was any sort of like
it's mostly
spiritual
like
thing
based in the concept of the piece.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're thinking more about just like color
and shape, and you know how it interacts with the body, essentially. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And maybe maybe some of these stones interact with the way that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. I don't like to poo-poo anybody's beliefs. Definitely regardless not. Of what they are. Like I'm the type of person that's like, okay, well, I've never seen a ghost. I've never had a supernatural experience. I don't really believe in it. But when somebody tells me that they had like some supernatural thing, I'm like, cool.
Yeah. Or like you feel differently,
Yeah. It's just, it's like, I wish that I would have a supernatural experience just because like that would make the world so much more interesting to me. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's so many things that I just have never experienced. So.
I mean, I think it's like a matter of people being open in different ways,
With the you mentioned before that the most difficult part of metalsmithing was marketing. So I wanted to actually get into a conversation. I guess, eventually we as artists, creatives, we get to a point where it's like, hey, I want to do this and make a living off of it, hopefully. So we need to get into the business side of things.
Right.
What was the transition for you like going from like, okay, well, I have all this shit. Now I got to try to sell it to people. How did you go about that?
It's still happening.
Yeah.
So I think that I had this show Teeth Dreams, like, was it 2 years ago at Bunker Projects? And like, I spent a ton of money on that show. It was super awesome. I loved how it turned out. Like, it was exactly what I wanted, but it was like at the beginning of the transition into the business side. And now I like have an accountant and like an art lawyer and like have LLC'd my business and like have my own King Reld account. And like when you transition from like, oh, this is, my fun thing that I do, that I spend all my money on, into a business, then you're like, oh shit, like how much does it cost to like buy this stuff or like run this machine or, all this, have a show.
Yeah.
It's like less of like an idealistic vision and more of a realistic vision.
Yeah. And you get to a point, I imagine, where getting back into the conversation of saying no to yourself, you have to start shaking hands with the devil that is compromise a lot, I imagine. And just like, fuck, like I have this really fantastic idea for something, but I just like literally cannot monetarily like allow myself to do this.
Well, I mean, there's grants.
Yeah.
If you get them.
that's a whole nother world,
right?
I imagine, just applying and convincing people that you're worthy of their money. And
I mean, like the more connections you make, the more people that you meet and talk to you and become friends with, like it helps a lot. I just went to Penland School of Craft. It's this awesome craft school in North Carolina for a workshop for 2 weeks. It was amazing. I met so many people and it was just like so refreshing to be around all of these artists who are doing the same thing I'm doing, not making the same thing, but like trying to make this their job.
Yeah, on the same wavelength. I think it's super important for any creator to be able to surround themselves with people and be in an environment that's like super encouraging and positive and productive. And I feel like sometimes, especially if you're somebody like yourself, I imagine locally you might not know very many people that are doing the same stuff you're doing.
There's a few. There's
but it could be pretty isolating though, I imagine. Definitely. Though, because like everybody, even if you know those people, they're obviously, you're in your own bubbles just working on your own shit all the time. It's not like a band where it's like, every other week we're going out, we're playing shows and we're seeing people. A big part of what we do is socializing. That's a huge part of it. But with what you do,
I think a huge part of it is socializing too.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like in the craft, like in the creation of it. Well, I guess so, because if you're
I think so, because like I go to conferences all the time and like take as many workshops as I can, and like go to metalsmith meetups and.
Well, yeah, I think that would probably just because like you have that drive, that energy to take that extra step to do those things.
Yeah.
You could very easily you could be doing what you're doing, but just without taking that extra step to leave the house and try to meet other people.
I don't think it would work.
Like, yeah, I don't think it would either.
Like no one would buy my anything.
Totally. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. That's it obviously doesn't. Yeah. It wouldn't work. You need to make those steps to do that. You need to be a little extroverted, I suppose, which I always find super interesting, because a lot of people start making art from like an introverted perspective, and then it gets to that point where you got to get into the business, so you got to start talking to people, and it's like, oh fuck, the only reason I started drawing is because I hated everybody.
Yeah.
And now I gotta
or like hated math.
Yeah. And now accounting, numbers.
I do so much math. I like, cheated my way through all of my math classes. And now I do math every day. Like I have to. It's sort of like when you go to hell and you have to like repeat the task that you hate forever.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
With the crafting and the metalsmithing, is there any sort of so I guess there's like a minor part of like it's like a biological architecture in a way, with like figuring out like shaping and sizing things to, different people's parts. Cause like obviously you're making a piece like that rhinestone head thing. It's like, well, everybody's head is shaped differently. So
yeah.
And then like everybody's teeth are different. Everybody's noses are different. What are some other pieces that you've done? Because there's like I've seen like ear things and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, like the
nose cuffs.
We can actually
are really hard.
Go.
I mean, it's funny because like I try to make like production jewelry that I could sell at stores and whatever, but like everything I make is custom, and so I can't help but make it for your body parts that are all, everyone's are different.
This is nuts.
I love that.
That's so cool. For anybody that is just listening on Spotify or Apple or Google, you could watch this, or you can see this stuff for yourself. If you don't want to watch it on YouTube or Facebook, you can go to
kingreld.com.
That's KINGRELD.com. And you could check out this stuff for yourself.
Check it out.
It is pretty insane. Okay, here we go. You got a pearl wig.
There's another one I made recently.
Fucking crazy. Yeah. When it comes to like when you like, there's like some pretty cool makeup on this model right here. Do you have a makeup artist that you work with?
This
Anybody
is Karma
specifically?
Sanjay Lama. They're in Pittsburgh. They are very talented. They do most of my makeup stuff.
Super, super cool.
Yep.
All these grills are so intense.
Thanks.
It's kind of scrolling through really, really slow so people could check out stuff.
These ones I love so much. This one's the You've Got Yellow Teeth grill. It's like a big chunk of plaque right there. And there's broccoli in your teeth grill.
I love it. You a broccoli fan?
I like broccoli.
Any other vegetables
I like all
that you've made jewelry around?
carrots.
Carrots.
Well-
what was the carrot one?
Well, you know how like gold is measured in carats, also diamonds are measured in carats.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny.
I get it. Glasses. Okay, I think I saw there was some glasses in the video, right?
Same glasses.
Same glasses. Those are pretty cool.
You can change the slides on them too, which is fun. Yeah, these are the nose cuffs I was talking about.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, that's super creative with the teardrops.
mhm.
Just these ideas are just so interesting. I'm just super like, I don't know, just like, how does your brain work when it comes to thinking like, oh, I can make a nose piece with pieces that can come up and then create teardrops? Is it just like you just think of an idea and just fucking do
I
it?
just do it. I don't know. I don't even sketch it. I just make it.
Huh.
Sometimes people are like, "Oh, I need to see some sketches," and I'm like, "Fine."
God damn it. Absent father. This Tusks grill is really, really crazy. I think I saw a photo of somebody wearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you definitely.
But these are cool for the music peeps. These are earplug caps, so that I think I have some here. So these are little caps with a little hole in them at the back, and you can like shove your disposable earplug, roll it up like you do when you put it in your ear, and you shove it in the little hole, and then let it expand, and then you can roll the other side and shove it in your ear, and then you have like a cute thing poking out of your ear.
That is so creative. How did you think of that?
I just thought of it. I don't know. I was just like, I hate how earplugs look. They're horrible.
I can't imagine.
They're like a little mushroom one.
Yeah.
Cute.
That is hysterical. Like I love the idea of just the way that you obviously just like look at the world and observe things. That is gnarly too.
These ones have little wigglies on them.
I feel like, are you just always looking at things and observing things and trying to think of ways to just improve it or think about like, how could I do something like that with jewelry?
Yeah, or like, I mean, not necessarily. Mostly it's like, how did they make that? Or I'm like, oh, they did it like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever I go to a museum or gallery, I like can't just like enjoy the art. I just like, my brain is wired to be like, how did they do that?
I am the same way, 100%.
It's kind of sucks, but it's also like pretty cool.
Yeah. There was an art museum in Milwaukee, and I don't remember the name of it, but there can't be very many in Milwaukee. But they had a really cool piece there, and I don't remember the artist, but excuse me. It was like an open suitcase on the floor, and then like you walk over and you look down into it, and it's like an installation that's built like on the floor underneath with like a running water, and like you see some legs dangling, and it's like this whole piece that's just like, it's like when you look into the suitcase, it's like a sewer grate, and like you could see into the floor underneath. It's super fucking cool. But I'm like looking at it and I'm like, who maintains this? How do they like keep it going? 'Cause it's constantly flowing water. It's lit really cool. It's like, do you have to take off the grate and crawl down into it? Or did they like set up something on the floor underneath, or there's a door that you can't see where you can go in? It's like, I'm always thinking about the logistics.
Definitely.
Instead of just being completely blown away by this thing.
Yeah.
It's super cool. I need to like figure out the name of this piece. But is there anything that you haven't done that you've like really, really wanted to do, but it's just kind of like maybe outside of your skill set or outside of like your monetary ability right now?
That's a good question. I mean, I want to have another show, but I don't have any money right now. So.
I meant like I was speaking more like specifically about like any sort of like a piece.
Well, there's this one piece that I made a while ago. I think it's in the Teeth Dreams section of my website, but I made it for Mike Mizak. Do you know him?
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Yeah.
I made him a fancy eyeball.
Yeah.
And this was like so long ago, like 4 years. I don't know, so long ago that I made.
We're speaking of Mike from Earns.
Yeah.
He was literally just sitting in that chair 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
So shout outs to Earns. Teeth Dreams. Where's that at?
Go to work.
Go to work. I don't want to go to work.
Don't go to work. Be self-employed.
Oh, these are some fucking awesome photos.
Yeah, they're pretty fun. Katie Krulak takes a lot of my photos.
Oh, cool. Shout outs to her.
She's awesome. Yep, that's the one. That's another really cool video. But so I made this eyeball.
I'm just gonna. Oh God, there's music. That's fine. I'll turn it down.
No, turn it up. It's my friend Marty's music. Low Rose Cellist.
This stuff is so rad.
I love this video so much.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Keaton.
Yeah, shout outs. How the fuck do I get
Keaton's awesome.
Get out of full screen? There we go. All right, so let's go down. Let's see. Let's look for an eyeball.
Yeah, it should be in there. Yep, right here. That's Mike's face.
Hey.
On a mirror. And then, oh, his eyeball's in this, but maybe it's not on there. Oh, there it is.
Super cool.
So I molded his prosthetic eyeball. It was very dramatic. I mean, made him like pop it out and place it in my hand so I could mold it. Cut it in half in the mold after it's molded and in wax, and then hollowed it totally out. So there's 2 pieces, and then I set this tiger eye stone with the onyx pupil in it from the back, and then had it laser soldered all back together.
Whoa!
So it's totally hollow. And right now, I think in a couple weeks, we're going to see his prosthetic eyeball doctor. And we're going to get it coated in the special prosthetic eyeball plasticky resin stuff so that he can actually wear it.
Fuck yeah.
I'm so excited.
That is fucking gnarly.
Yeah, it's going to look so good on stage. I have some of these girls here.
Yeah. Again, I apologize to anybody that is just simply listening to this episode.
Sounds good though. It's a lot of pearls strung together. Also, all the pearls that I use, I tie a knot in between every one. So if you can visualize that amount of time. This is from a dream that I had.
Okay.
That's why it's called Teeth Dreams. I don't know if you've ever had a dream where your teeth fall out or like crumble in your mouth or fall out in your hands or...
I think, yeah.
They're really intense and scary and you feel powerless. But I had this dream where I like felt really hot and I was like at this bar and like it was super swanky and there were like mirrors surrounding me and the lighting was like blue and green and like very calming. And I had a martini and I was like looking in the mirror and all of a sudden it like turned into a teeth dream and all of my teeth started growing out of my mouth as strings of pearls, but they were teeth strings. It's fucked up.
That's fucking crazy.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't do anything. Just surrender. That's all you can do in a teeth dream. So this show is sort of about like, you know, self-image and like self-image hate, or, you know, trying to not hate on yourself so much. And I made all these scary grills, like the Tusk one, and also have this crazy one, which is super fun.
What are those dangling on that one?
Rhinestones.
Rhinestones. No, it's fucking so nuts.
Yeah, it's very like Cthulhu-y to me. So then there are also these like giant mirrors all around the room, and Guinevere and Chelsea Brumbaugh and Greg Smee and I were modeling for the show and like interacting with viewers while they were also interacting with the mirrors, sort of like forcing people to like look at themselves and like think about those ideas.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
With putting, you know, the shows together, I imagine that's like a huge part of everything that you like to do, because it's kind of like it's the probably the most efficient way to get your vision across, to like create a total environment and present the work in a place where it makes the most sense. But it's probably difficult because it's so much extra stuff and time and money and space and all those things.
Yeah. But it's
again,
like
grants.
Yeah, grants. Or, you know, just dig it out of your pocket if you can. Yeah, it's sort of like it all like comes to a head at the show. But, you know, that's where I get most of my photography done too. And it's sort of like everybody's like way more in character at the show than if you're having a photo shoot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense,
like
actually.
All-encompassing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you're getting a lot done, you know, two birds, one stone sort of mentality.
And like people get to interact within that, you know, mood, character. It's cool.
When you are marketing and doing stuff online, what do you find to be the most proficient way of marketing what it is that you do? You know, do you do any sort of like Facebook targeted bullshit, or do you just post stuff, or do you just try to rely on people to share things around, a mix of everything? What works for you?
I think word of mouth works the best for me. Instagram's great. It's kind of hard to like figure out like why, you know, you get 280 likes on one photo and why you get 80 likes on another photo. It just like doesn't really make sense. I don't get it.
Yeah, I for a long time I used to think it was like, oh, you're not posting at the right time of the day. Mm-hmm. But the way that
I think that has some.
I think it maybe does, but the way Instagram pushes stuff into your feeds now, it's like I'll be looking at people's feeds and I see like the same photo over and over and over again that somebody posted days ago, but it still keeps popping up in my thing. And it's like, why?
Weird.
It's like, maybe it's like, do they keep, is this somebody's photo that maybe I typically like their photos a lot and I didn't like this one? So Instagram's still sending it to me like, hey, we just want to make sure you saw this because we know that you always engage with, you know, the sandwiches that Doug posts or whatever the fuck it is. But you're not engaging with this one. What's wrong? You're not seeing it? I don't know.
It's so weird.
I wish that it wasn't like that. I don't like having information sent to me based on what the algorithm thinks I want to see, because it's not accurate. Like on Instagram, I just want to see like the timeline to be accurate of things. That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I think that Instagram's great for getting people to my website, which is the goal.
Yeah.
Because everything's here.
Yeah, no, you have a really, really great website. It like just brings you into this environment where you can really see and engage with the work, and all the photos are great. And I think it makes so much sense to have those photos and those videos so people can see like what this stuff looks like and how it, could make the potential customer look cooler.
Yeah.
With
also one thing about that I find really funny with making grills is like most people who buy a grill are like already really cool,
Sure.
Also, most people who are really cool like don't ever smile in any of their photos.
Okay.
Except for when they buy a grill.
Because they have to.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I think it's really cute. Also, DJ Femi is awesome and they promote me so much and I love them.
Shout outs.
Oh.
Shout outs to them. With the responsibility of being a fashion designer, is that something that you take seriously, or do you think about like the social responsibility, like where you're getting stuff from that you use, like how you're sourcing materials, things like that? Is that something you think about a lot?
Yeah. This stuff is mined, which is weird. But a lot of it is refined from silver that's been, out and about for maybe even, 150 years. I work with a company called United Precious Metals, and they make all of their metal from refined silver. So it's all recycled. I buy new silver sometimes. But yeah, a lot of the stones, like all the stones in the jewelry collection were from costume jewelry. That, just like pop them out and clean them up a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. With doing things that like things that take a lot of time, like the headpiece. How do you start with something like that? I don't even understand like how you would even make that. Do you like base it off of like the structure of maybe how like a wig works?
It's very similar to how a wig works. There's a steel armature underneath it that I made out of like steel hangers. And it's just like fitted around my head. It's sort of like the rhinestone one is a little bit different than the pearl one, but the rhinestone one is like it follows like the shape of your head with like these steel beams that go back, and then all the rhinestone strands are wire wrapped onto those steel lines. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
So it's like wrap around and then wrap around the rhinestone strand and then wrap.
What, if you had to say, is the longest you've spent on a piece?
I think that one.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really fast.
Yeah, like when it comes to like the grills, which seems to be like, the bulk of what you're doing now, how long does it take you on average to maybe put one of those together?
So to make it, I tell my customers 4 to 6 weeks, but that is because I have a lot of grills that I'm making at once. But to make a grill, so I do an impression, which takes 10 minutes. And then I pour the impression with this like hard plaster mixture called dental stone. It's like super hard. It's like a rock. And so I'll pour that and let it sit overnight. And then when it's hard in the morning, then I form wax on top of it. That's how I make them in wax. And that probably takes me like 2 hours max per grill. And then I cast them. So then they go into the burnout oven overnight. Burnout cycle's like, I think 8 hours. And then cast them with molten metal. And then when they come out, they're like, kind of like gritty. You got to clean them up a lot. But I try to do most of my cleanup in the wax. So it takes me a little longer in the wax than the metal. So I feel like in the metal to clean them up, it's like probably an hour and a half or so. So
the process just seems like it's a lot of waiting.
It's what,
like a lot of like short steps, but a lot of waiting in between.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like ceramics in a way.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe like 6 hours total.
Yeah, but like spread over the course of a couple days, pretty much. And I imagine there's a lot of juggling that you're trying to do where it's like if you're working on multiple pieces at once, do you just, do each step for each piece individually? Or is it like, I have 5 pieces I'm working on. I'm going to do all of the molding
style
or whatever for this. Yeah. So try to streamline it that way. So I just
poured like 12 impressions. And then 2 of them had to go out really quick. So I poured them all and then waxed them all. I waxed the ones that had to go out first and casted those already. And they're already out at New York Fashion Week. Yay. But yeah, I mostly just do them all at once. Also, it's like so inconsistent. It's like, I had 12 this time, but I'll have 2,
sure,
in a couple days,
Yeah.
So it's like, you never really know.
Yeah.
And if you have 2 grills, you're like, or just make them whatever.
Yeah. The inconsistency of art.
Yeah. So,
and when you're doing like the business side of things, could be really
you're just like
aggravating at times.
Yeah. Like I didn't get any sales all summer. Super slow.
Yeah.
So slow. Like it's fine. Go on vacation, pay for childcare. It's fine. But also like I'm struggling over here.
Sure. Well, I think it's, awesome that you're still grinding and getting your stuff out there. You mentioned New York Fashion Week. You're going to have some stuff.
Yeah,
and I know that you've
collaboration with SB Shades.
What do they do?
Cool sunglasses.
Okay.
Like a fashion person. They also have like a cooking show. Really
tight.
Cool. Yeah.
And I know that you've had stuff like in different exhibits all over the place, right? So you're doing what you can.
Yeah. Trying to do it.
At this point, it's really just a matter of, I think, just sticking to it and making sure that you don't, drop the ball or lose that spark. Because once the spark's gone, it'll start to show in the work. And then once the spark's gone out of the work, then it's game over.
You got to kindle the spark by keeping it exciting. And like, maybe one day I won't like making grills anymore. So I'll do something else. We'll make something else,
Yeah, there's all sorts of jewelry.
So many sorts.
You ever thought about like doing something crazy, like making a dress or something that you could actually like more insanely wearable?
Yeah.
Boots. I don't know.
So I got to figure out because I mostly work in silver.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to broaden the metal materials.
Like there's like sick like steel toe boots. Like make some crazy like accessories on a boot.
That'd be cool.
Like a collaboration. You find somebody that does like sick leather work and then like get a shoe work with them. That'd be neat.
That'd be sweet.
Anybody fuck with leather? Hit up Sarah.
I love collaborating.
It's such an important part of art, which is interesting because art, as I said before, can be very isolating. But in most circumstances, the most exciting things about art are results of collaboration.
For sure. I mean,
like the video, for example, it's been playing. Like it's such a team. Yeah.
Yeah.
From
if I didn't have
the jewelry that you made,
the makeup artist, Hannah Donovan,
yeah, like everybody came together to make something that's just great.
Yeah.
Everybody's using like their.
And it's also like I don't get as much of a thrill if it's just me, It's just like, oh, hey, this is my work. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Like, how do you feel about, modeling your own work?
I am exploring that a lot lately. I was like I felt like kind of nervous about it for a long time, and I feel more confident now.
I feel like I would be nervous about it just from the sense of like, I don't want people to have like a distorted sense of my ego or something, like where it's like, this is all about me. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you make something for yourself, it's, it's fitted to you, but it also is
but
like,
it's like not for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of really awesome models and performance people who I work with who do a great job of presenting my work.
Yeah.
And, I kind of idolize them, and sometimes I want to do it too.
It's just so interesting thinking about, I don't know how common it is in the world of, we'll say, fashion for the designer to also model their own stuff. Do a lot of people do that?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if that's like a thing where it's like, is it because they just, is it like a taboo, or is it a thing where people just don't want to put themselves out there like that? I know in some circumstances too, it could be like, oh, maybe they just are like, oh, okay, like I'm a male designer and I'm making dresses for females or other people, and it's like, this isn't my personal style,
right?
But I design it. I think that's always an interesting thing
also,
too.
Like part of the industry, like fashion is very like, this is how it is, and I'm like, not
obviously
doing that.
Yeah. How is that, like, how do you find that to be received by people in fashion?
I think a lot of people are like, what is this stuff? Like they don't get it. A lot of people don't get it. But I don't know. I don't really care because I get it.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people do understand what I'm trying to do.
I always find when something comes across my plate that I don't understand, whether it is fashion or music, if it's something that I engage with it and I don't understand it, I'm like intrigued by that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
same.
whoa, like what is going on? And I just want to like learn more about it. Even if it's like with music, for example, if it's something that like I know I don't like, if it's still like something that's just off the wall and different, I'm still going to engage with it and respect it, because it's like, this just came from some weirdo's brain.
Right. And I think that's like a very artist mentality, Some people are just like afraid and they're like, oh, I'm not going to look, And like, that's fine.
Yeah. Do you find
they're obviously not my market?
Sure. I guess like there is an element of scary to your stuff. Is that intentional, or is it just an end result of the?
No, I just like it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm getting an overall vibe from talking with you and getting to meet you, where it's like there's not a whole lot of like, preconceived or really thought out in a way where there's like anything more than just like, I feel like doing something and I'm just going to do it. And then it is what it is because it's a direct reflection of who I am. It's not so much like I have this idea to do, this like really dark avant-garde fashion. It's just, that's just what it ended up being as a result of your natural output.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, I don't know. I just think it's more interesting. Like the mood is way more interesting if it's like challenging you. I just want to challenge people, I think.
Yeah. Then like that was the one thing that I really thought of, when I first saw the stuff. I was like, this is just, I felt challenged, like literally visually challenged, just like, what am I looking at?
It's also like, I think a lot of the, sharpness in it is reflected in the view, like how the viewer's understanding it too. And I think it, it's like there to like help you, think about what's going on inside of your own life or history or whatever. Yeah.
I fucks with it. It's super, super cool. I really don't know what else to say. Again, if you all out there on the internet land should definitely check out Sarah's stuff. KingReld.com is the website. I'm sure there's Instagram, Facebook, all those sorts of things too. Do you want to plug any of that stuff?
King Reld. Everything's, that's what it is.
Before we wrap up, I guess one question that I should ask is the name King Reld. What's that about?
Yeah, so Reld is a fun word that I made up. It also like sounds like metal, I think, like meld and weld and yeah, but that's it.
Yeah.
But it actually comes from the last 4 letters of my last name reversed. Sindler is Reld. Also, it just sounds good.
Yeah.
It used to be, the brand used to be called Reld Metal, which is fine.
It's fine.
But then like one day I was like, oh, King Reld. That's what it is.
Yeah. I guess just having that, the king terminology in it is very.
And it's very like, très riche. Also, it's really interesting, like having King as sort of my pseudonym, because I identify as, woman. It's like a lot of people think that I'm a dude on Instagram.
Sure.
And like, it's just funny, like the way that dudes talk to dudes. I like get to taste that a little bit. It's pretty funny. It's funny. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah, brother.
Yeah. Sick work, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're welcome, princess. That's fun.
Hell yeah.
It's really interesting.
I was super curious because whenever we were setting up to talk and I was like getting all my notes ready, I was like, okay, am I going with Sarah or am I going with King Reld? Like, how do you want to market this? Is it like, oh, this is my episode with King Reld, or is this my episode with Sarah Sindler?
Well, it's interesting because like in the fine art world, it's like you usually are gonna sign your work Sarah Sindler. But I don't know. Yeah, nobody knows Sarah Sindler. Everyone knows King Reld.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, it's a thing where like, okay, like I have my, performance name of Sykes. And then, but I am Brian. I am just a Brian. And anytime I meet people, it's like, hey, I'm Brian. And they're like, oh, Sykes? I'm like, yeah, I guess that works. Call me whatever you want.
I mean, I love being called King Reld. It's so satisfying.
But do you feel weird if you like are introducing yourself as that to somebody?
Yes, definitely. If someone is like, oh, hey, King Reld, I'm like, what's up? But I'm never going to be like, hey, I'm King Reld.
But like, there's some times where it's like, okay, if I'm at a show and I'm meeting somebody for the first time, it's like, I need to say like, hey, I'm Sykes. So that particular person knows immediately who I am. Like if it's somebody that I'm performing with or somebody that's doing a show, like I am the person. I can't just be like, oh, like, hey, I'm Brian. And then 5 minutes later, somebody's like, hey, have you seen, is Sykes here? It's like, that's me. It's like, oh.
It depends on the space. It's also like kind of freeing because it's like an alter ego, you know? And that's cool. I don't know. It's a very powerful alter ego.
I like it.
Thanks.
Super cool. Well, hey, it was really, really great to meet you.
Yeah.
I was glad to get to see some of the stuff in person. I was hoping that you would bring some stuff and the earplugs. That's such a fun idea.
Yeah, musicians, check out the earplugs. Also, just if you like to go to loud shows.
Yeah. And
protect your ears.
I don't even know what else to say. I feel like it's interesting because I legitimately feel like it's so hard to just like think about. I don't even want to like talk about the work that much. I just want to like look at it and take it in internally, and trying to like verbalize all of my feelings on it just feels like it's like not even part of the point of the work. to
Yeah.
do.
I agree with that. I mean, explore it within yourself for sure.
Yeah. Just super, super cool. So for the last time, please go check out Sarah's stuff on the internet. And if you're feeling inclined, buy some shit.
Yeah, I also do custom jewelry. So if you like have a cool idea of something that you want, I can make anything. I can even make a prosthetic eyeball.
Hell yes. And with that being said, that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. One more time, Sarah Jane Sindler, aka King Reld, in the building. Thank you for being here. I'll be back again next time with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat 2019. Woo! Woo! Thanks for listening. Have a good day, people. And we are done. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.